Health benefits of smoking is a bit of a stretch even in this time period, where diseases like tuberculosis were common. And especially in a game where there are shops that actually sell medicine, merchants with tonics that are medical breakthroughs, and the ever-changing landscape of the West, science has pretty much disproven any ignorance in advertising that smoking is good for you. Little do you know, this is the first documented footage of someone boarding a hype train. That leads into a somewhat overrated game that, quite frankly, doesn't get good until the start of the Mexico section. Hey, somebody needed to have the balls to say it. Apparently I'm the only one willing to step up.
Well, I, for one, am grateful, Mrs. Bush, that they are finally bringing civilization to this savage land.
I could not agree with you more, my dear. My daddy settled this land, and I know he'll be looking down on us, pleased at how we help the natives.
Rockstar, I'm gonna have to send you for a bit of inaccuracy here. People talked way worse than this back in those times. I never expected you, of all game developers, to play it safe. Yeah, that's Bonnie McFarlane in a train on her way to Armadillo, even though we find out later on she owns and runs her own ranch near Armadillo. And I would have accepted the excuse she was going to get supplies, but she doesn't appear to be carrying any. Plus, she has plenty of people working on her ranch to do that for her. And yes, in case anyone tries to mention it, I am aware that in the epilogue of Red Dead Redemption 2, if you travel to the McFarlane Ranch, one of the farmers will tell you that the McFarlanes are away.
Fella here had some bad luck himself. Him and his family got hit hard by the sickness. Him and his daughter went off traveling, trying to deal with the sadness, I guess.
But if after that 4-year gap, everyone is going to try to convince me that Bonnie McFarlane returns home the same day that John leaves for Armadillo and that they board the same train together, I am calling some massive bullshit plot convenience. Either way, it's a sin.
Bill! Bill, I've come for you!
Considering that Jake had already told John he was hired by the marshal, and that John ends up assisting the marshal anyways, it would have been wise for John to get help from the marshal so that he would have backup for taking down Bill Williamson. What in the hell made John think he was going to eliminate Bill at Fort Mercer on his own, especially when Bill ends up having the high ground?
Well?
Double sin here. 1, John survives this, and 2, Bill follows the classic villain cliche of not making sure the protagonist is dead, thus allowing them to survive and return to finish their job.
Once you didn't die, the doctor said you'd be fine. He got the bullets out a couple days ago.
Good.
It cost us $15.
How are you going to voluntarily rescue John only to complain about how much it costs to save his life? You run a ranch. You know that medicine doesn't come cheap.
I'm sorry, madam. Should have left me there to die.
Yes, John. Leave you there to die when the whole point of you taking on this duty is to bring closure to your past and gain amnesty so that you can see your wife and child again. Alive.
If you're feeling better, why not take a ride with me later? Help me patrol the perimeter. You can earn back some of that money we wasted on doctor's bills.
That last sentence does not make any sense. You willingly spent money on John to save his life, but now you want to offer him money to help out with something you do on a regular basis, being a rancher? Do you need the Twitch hydration bot to help you out with that thirst? As with other Rockstar games, you can save your game, but it will automatically skip ahead several hours in the day. The reason why that's a sin is because there are certain missions that will only be available during certain times of the day. And if you manually save and you want to begin another main mission, you won't be able to. It's an obnoxious design flaw and needs to go. This isn't a sin. I just wanted to show video proof that even in a 2010 AAA video game, we still had cheat codes. And now, just 8 years later, we are stuck in a microtransaction cesspool. So I just wanted to take this time to give a special eat shit to not only every single person out there who allowed us to get to this point, but to all the brain-dead jackasses out there who want to use the player choice argument whenever a controversy arises. Okay, mini rant over.
Would you mind riding with me to Armadillo? I've got to get some supplies and I could do with the company.
Wait, if you were going to get supplies from Armadillo, what the hell were you doing in Blackwater? Well, at least you validated my sin from earlier. Some of the guns in this game cost more than a piece of property, with them easily being hundreds of dollars. Dude, that's how much they cost now. It's a wonder how the West was ever expanded with prices that inflated.
You that fella from the train company?
No, I'm from Fort Mercer.
What a completely pointless misunderstanding. The deputies know that the marshal sent for a man named John, and John doesn't need to say he's from Fort Mercer, knowing damn well the whole town knows about Bill Williamson and his gang held up in Fort Mercer.
My job is to keep this town safe, not clean up all of these 3 counties. I got a bunch of cattle rustlers out near Box Canyon needs shutting down.
The marshal claims that his job isn't to clean up all these counties, yet has no problem allowing John to help him accomplish exactly that without signing any agreement. Not to mention, Box Canyon isn't even on the map. I know, I checked. This is the closest thing to teabagging as you're gonna get in this game.
Miss McFarlane,
I'm married.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have just witnessed history. Bonnie McFarlane is the first American woman to ever be friend-zoned. You all are starting to realize why there haven't been too many Western games made. They're very, shall we say, limiting. Herding cattle, the most riveting gameplay on YouTube. Oh, and get used to it, because you'll have to do it about 3 more times throughout the game. Regenerative health.
My daughter informs me that you're here on some secret mission to remove some undesirables from the county.
It's not a secret if you know the details of the mission.
When I hear about this so-called federal government sending out agents to covertly murder and control people, then I start to worry. I mean, yeah, all right, Williamson is a menace, and men like him are the plague. But isn't a government agent a worse menace? And all that symbolizes, I mean.
Despite hearing all this wisdom from Mr. McFarlane, it will not clue in John that the government men who hired him are the real threat. John may be a fool, but he does take advice when it's given to him. You gotta love this ludonarrative dissonance where John spends this entire game trying to erase his outlaw past. Yet like all other Rockstar games, the only way to truly have fun is to be an asshole and murder people indiscriminately, which completely conflicts with the overall theme of redemption. It also makes the honor system pointless since there's never any consequence for swaying either way. The only real difference is the way certain people will react to you when you're around them. Give me some major outcomes like honor-specific weapons and outfits, affecting the outcome of the game, or rewarding me with more acres of land for my farm after completing townsfolk tasks. Anything to make the experience more unique. This bullshit whenever you capture a bounty and then their friends randomly spawn out of nowhere, and then they miraculously catch up to you even though they're a mile behind you? That's a double sin right there, partner.
Would you possibly go fetch him for me?
Literal fetch questing.
They're back! I'm done for!
So these bandits shoot Wes Dickens and leave him to die, failing to confirm the kill, yet they lie in wait on the off chance he survives and escapes? Game has this dumb limitation where if you take a shortcut to get Wes Dickens to Armadillo, he'll just die faster. I don't have time to be playing by your absurd rules.
We've had this problem for months with this group of bandits. We're getting drunk and murdering settlers.
And you waited until now to deal with them? Not to mention, the bandits end up being at Ridgewood Farm, which seems to be the same distance, if not further away than Fort Mercer, which you claimed was outside your jurisdiction.
Some bandits came by and took us hostage. They're holed up in the farmhouse.
This woman knows the bandits are in the farmhouse even though she was locked in this barn. Inability to dual wield in a Western game, and it's especially dumb considering you could do it in Red Dead Revolver. I see that the Wilhelms are like the Stupids. They're an extended family.
Get 'em, boys!
Sure, take all the time you need before you pull the trigger. John, the marshal, and the deputies take cover behind a shed that was not present when they arrived at this location. Game tells me the victim has died. Turns out to be all right.
Those damn rustlers! I've got a good mind to head over to Pike's Basin myself.
I just wanted to let you all know I started this mission after I had already cleared out Pike's Basin, meaning there wouldn't be a gang to terrorize the McFarlanes to begin with, and thus there wouldn't be a gang to burn down the farm and escape without anyone noticing. Bonnie miraculously isn't immediately murdered by this gang after their predictable double cross and John killing half of them on his way to her. And yes, I do mean immediately murdered, as in shot dead so that John doesn't have a chance to save her. This tonic John drinks is supposed to enable Deadeye, a gameplay mechanic you've been able to use up until this point.
What? You think you can put a hole in a man's hat and just walk away, do you?
Pretty sure that's what you asked for.
Right. Let's just see how sharp you is with a moving target.
He's mine! He's mine! All mine!
Seth will now act as your resident golem, complete with his own madness and an item that he obsesses over that'll do anything to obtain.
Let me be frank for 1 second, partner. I hate people.
Seth is somehow an old friend of Wes Dickens, despite Seth hating people and Wes Dickens being a traveling salesman.
I want you to go and see my old friend Seth.
I certainly seem to be in some kind of nightmare.
Yeah, only if you paid an extra $9.99.
Leave them away from the shack and out of sight. Somewhere out past that hill.
Sure, Seth. Speak even louder so that the deputies could hear you. So I'm gonna steal a horse and lose my wanted level, and then return to the very station where I stole said horse that caused me to gain a wanted level. I mean, there are dumber things in life, but not too many. So all this time, Moses wasn't in a cell or tied up. John is forced to pay off a bounty even though the deputies never got the chance to identify him. Game, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't auto-start side missions, especially when they spontaneously appear on the minimap.
We need weapons. armor plate for the wagon?
That armor plating is going to render itself pretty useless when you end up exposing the entire Gatling gun, and John along with it.
Before I act selflessly, allow me to act selfishly and sell some of my wares.
The entire point of the horse race, which I won, was to gain prize money to get weapons and armor for the wagon, which you have yet to deliver on. The only thing more miraculous than your sales pitch is the fact that John hasn't put a bullet in your brain yet.
This man is a fucking charlatan. He just got done swindling us down at Cho Springs with this song and dance.
Except the sales pitch actually worked when John demonstrated his Deadeye skill. Explosive barrels that only exist to advance the gameplay.
We need money to outfit my carriage, to turn a simple tradesman's vehicle into something more subterfuge.
Something we should have already obtained from the previous horse race. Yet the game decides to waste your time with another horse race.
Have we got enough money now?
All right. Yes, once Seth and Irish have furnished their side of the bargain, I think we should be ready.
I just wanted to let you all know we have this conversation before I've even met Irish. Guess the game didn't take into consideration the order I play these missions. Any Irishman who can't handle his drink is automatically worth a sin.
Sounds real fishy to me, Irish. I've just about had it with you and your games. You and Wes Dickens are so crooked, you can swallow nails and spit out corkscrews.
Are you guys starting to understand why I think this game doesn't get good until the Mexico section? The first half of this game has John with the patience of a Buddhist monk tolerating the trickery done by Seth, Irish, and Wes Dickens, and sometimes repeating the same missions just to pad out the playtime. Explosion doesn't damage the tracks in any way. I see that John has the same weakness as the Uragon from Monster Hunter, except in John's case it means instant death.
Irish, that Gatling gun doesn't work.
John makes it seem like the machine gun malfunctioned on him, yet all it needs is ammo and it works perfectly fine. Stealth segment in a game not requiring stealth.
Greetings, my good men.
Notorious gang wanted in multiple counties somehow isn't aware of the charlatan Wes Dickens and his deceitful actions across the same counties. Not only does John take his sweet time before he starts unloading, none of these guys automatically shoot him after being duped.
So you know the way?
Oh, it's easy. We just get on me raft here and let the current sweep us away to paradise.
Strange how we need a raft to get to Mexico when we could have just used these bridges down in Rio Bravo to get across.
Now, I appreciate the welcome committee, but I'd hate to spoil a beautiful afternoon on such beautiful land.
Look around you, John. It is clearly nighttime. Make Mexico great.
A man who handles a gun as sloppy as you?
I can handle a gun okay, partner.
Yeah, as long as you're killing quail or peasants. But if you have to face another man, you don't stand a chance.
And you do?
Can show you a few tricks.
Proceeds to show John how to shoot stationary bottles and birds, things that are far less threatening than peasants. Not quite an effective confinement when you have an obvious opening someone could easily escape, especially when your captive isn't even tied up.
My name means something. All you've done is kill a few peasants, and the only real outlaw you've taken on dropped you like a bad habit.
Yeah, except Bill wasn't the one who shot John. It was one of Bill's fellow gang members. Also, now Landon Ricketts wants to claim his name means something, when earlier he said his name doesn't mean much anymore.
Who are you?
Landon Ricketts. Not a name that means much anymore.
You come to my country. My poor little country.
If that is supposed to be an authentic Mexican accent, then Chipotle and Taco Bell are authentic Mexican food.
Marston, you're gonna have to do something.
What?
You have to go out there and start that train before it crosses the bridge.
Yeah.
So not only is John carrying out more favors for the Mexican government without obtaining further information on the location of Bill and Javier, but DeSanta orders John to stop a train that he himself said there were no supplies on it.
We will lure the rebels into a trap. There's a train leaving Chuparosa soon. We're going to escort it. They will think it's a supply train. There are no supplies on it.
Game denies me of a Back to the Future 3 moment, and the fact that John was able to stop the train at that speed from that short of a distance.
This village is riddled with rebels. Make sure they don't have homes to come back to.
Yes, let's burn down these casas that have already been demolished. It's baffling the rebels were able to hide here in the first place.
I need some information, DeSanta.
All in good time.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed by now, this is the majority of the game. John tries to get information on Bill and Javier, comes across a crooked individual. Said individual demands John to help them before they help him. John complies in aiding them. They continuously play coy after John assists them, culminating in one final mission where John finally gets what he needs to move forth. Lather, rinse, repeat. And here I was throwing shade at EA and Ubisoft for repetitive mission design. I won't let it slide just because it's Rockstar.
Our orders are to deliver these munitions to Chuparosa. They will help to finally crush the rebels.
Oh, you mean the same Chuparosa where DeSanta tried to trick the rebels into thinking he was escorting supplies to? And you actually have supplies there, thus alerting the rebels to where your munitions are located?
I hope you know how to use that gun.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have ordered him to operate the Gatling gun if you didn't think he knows how to use it. But I wouldn't expect anything less from a literal handlebar twirling mustache villain. Sorry, game, but Uncharted 2 had a better train sequence a year prior to your release.
Mr. Marston, can I ask one more favor of you? Can you take my sister to the docks? The boat leaves at sundown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure sundown doesn't occur in 60 seconds when it's the middle of the day. Also, you don't need a stagecoach if you're just transporting one person.
Papeles! Este camino está prohibido!
What do they want now? Act normal. It's nothing to worry about.
Yes, talk even louder so that they can hear your plans. A lot of times when you're heading towards a mission location, you'll gain some insightful or important information from your companion. And on occasion, you'll have situations like this where there's no dialogue exchanged, so you'll never know whether to skip to the destination or not. AAA Gaming, ladies and gentlemen.
I have some wonderful news for you. Quite wonderful, in fact. You know the men you hunt? They have been captured in Chuparosa. I want you and DeSanta to ride out there, and then you can take possession of them.
John actually falls for this, especially considering Allende gave hints that he knows John is working for the rebels as well, and will view John as being a double agent, which ends up being the case anyway. Wait, the Mexican army ended up betraying John? I'll take things I predicted the moment I stepped into this region for 500, Alex. This laugh brought to you by a rejected episode of Batman the Animated Series.
I hope you have a clear conscience, because you're about to meet God.
John, would you like some extra chromium plating for this plot armor? It comes at a discount price when you purchase a package of our Saving the Hero cliches.
My brother, they will kill you if we don't get your ropes up.
Those are clearly handcuffs, not ropes. Good to know that the Mexican army graduated top honors at the Stormtrooper School of Aiming. It's no wonder they've been having trouble with the rebels.
Ah, Mr. Marston, I knew you would come.
Thanks for the welcoming committee.
I'm sorry, we cannot be too careful.
Weird how Luisa is so cautious about letting an ally like Marston near her, yet is so unbelievably naive about Reyes and how he feels towards her. He even called her the wrong name after John rescued him from execution.
Thank you again for helping my mother and Miranda to escape.
Except I didn't help your mother to escape, only your sister.
Do you have experience with explosives?
A little. Been a long time.
Good, because we do not.
So if you didn't bring John, you wouldn't have anybody who knows how to handle explosives, thus this entire ploy would be pointless. Not a great plan. You boys have some terrible peripheral vision if you can't spot John up on this hill.
That wretched animal DeSanta has been sent to oversee a massacre in El Sepulcro. Come, we must stop him and finally kill that vermin.
Proceeds to not accompany John in eliminating DeSanta when this is part of her revolution.
What are you doing? This is your chance at revenge.
The Captain DeSanta said he was here.
And you believe him? You must be more stupid than you look. Go shoot up some play sauce.
Thought Patrol is considered dishonorable.
What's on that train that's so important?
I received information that the army is transporting a vast quantity of supplies to distribute to their forces.
With DeSanta and Espinosa dead, the army still decides to send their supplies on a train through Chuparosa, where we killed Espinosa and where the rebels had already attacked one of their supply trains. Metal Gear Marston. John forgot to spend some points in the lockpicking tree. He has now been denied entry into the Thieves Guild.
My dear boy, don't be absurd. I'm going to be the next president of Mexico.
Except there's the manner of General Sanchez, who has yet to be eliminated, and is the puppet master behind Colonel Allende. No horses were harmed in the making of this video game. What shall we do with these bullet-shooting guns? I know, use them as melee weapons. Perfect.
Hello, old friend.
It's been a long time.
Hello, brother. It's good to see you. I heard you was coming. You took your time, no? Come on, you're not gonna shoot your own brother, are you? We was family.
You know, I am so glad I waited until after I played Red Dead Redemption 2 before sinning this game, so that I could call bullshit on this segment. Cause from what I played, John and Javier barely had any interaction with each other, much less enough to call each other brother. John leaves the cell door open in the end of the cutscene after he drops off Javier, yet it's closed when he returns to him.
Well, it is a pleasant surprise, I must say.
He's not looking very healthy. We told you to keep them alive.
Them? Do you see anybody besides Javier in John's possession? Besides, what difference does it make whether John brings him back alive? Your ultimate goal is to eliminate the remaining outlaws of the land. Don't mind me, fellas. I'm just John Marston, casually strolling through mayhem with nobody attacking me, even though I've taken lives on both sides. So, after being cautious multiple times, Luisa thought she could just charge 3 armed men with a knife and survive. I mean, I guess that was supposed to be an emotional moment, but I feel as empty as the calories I intake whenever I eat a Krispy Kreme donut. So you find out at this time that Bill Williamson had been under the protection of Colonel Allende ever since you stepped foot into Mexico. Don't you just love it when a game blatantly wastes your time by forcing you to play cat and mouse with people who are obviously corrupt? 'Cause I certainly don't.
You're the one who let Dutch drive you insane!
Dutch wanted you dead! We all did!
Except for that Arthur Morgan guy who evidently risked his life to save John. Oh, and that Sadie Adler lady. Can't forget about her. Oh, and that Charles fella. He wasn't too keen on letting John die either.
We still don't have Vanderlyn, but now we know where he is.
Then go and shoot him.
No, sir. I want you to shoot him for me.
That's gonna be quite a moot point when you end up shooting Dutch anyway so that it would look good on your report, which will also end up being pointless when you order your men to kill John.
Ah! Mr. Marston! You're alive!
Hello, Wes Dickens. Ross, have him release this man.
Why?
Because he's a harmless old fraud, the kind of man that built this country. And because he helped me get Williamson.
Technically, he only helped you in attacking Fort Mercer. It was Irish who helped you get to Mexico, which then led to Reyes aiding you in capturing Williamson.
344. 345.
Considering how slow you've been counting ever since John entered this building, I seriously doubt you were able to get to the 300s from 100 in just a few minutes.
Oh, let's see. You killed hundreds of innocent people. You've robbed at least 40 banks that we're aware of.
They told us there was a prize when you got to 50.
Man, John's sarcasm is on point, and I can appreciate that. So much so that I'll take off a few sins.
First it was Bill, now it's Dutch. After Dutch, it'll be somebody else. Where does it end?
It ends when we say it ends.
Not so subtle foreshadowing. Also, this won't clue in John as to the true motives of the Bureau, and that they will never let him live in peace.
We are giving you a chance at new life. A chance at redemption.
Wah, wah. So Agent Fordham gained intel that Dutch might be held up near this wrecked riverboat. Weird, after playing Red Dead Redemption 2, Dutch would once again settle near a body of water that would obviously gain a lot of attention. Yeah, Dutch has gone crazy at this point, but he's not stupid.
Your family is enjoying a much-needed vacation, and in far more luxurious surroundings than those to which they are accustomed, I assure you.
Well, considering Jack was once taken captive by Angelo Bronte, who had vast amounts of wealth, luxury living isn't exactly a new experience for him.
But we hunt to eat, not for sport. Soon, there will be no buffalo left.
Rockstar, come on. Did you really think you could have the same actor voice 2 different prominent characters and not have someone notice it or get distracted by it? Because if you did, you are dead wrong. One could say, Red Dead... No, fuck that. I'm not making that joke. This little hiccup. First-person point of view at critical plot moments.
You banged your head. Nastas and I carried you down. Nastas heard the shots and he hurried up to rescue you, and he carried you down. I improvised an escape plan.
Not sure how you and Nastas were able to accomplish that when you left back to your office after you arrived at the hills and Nastas was injured and didn't want to slow down John. Natives, who actually have guns this time, don't take advantage of dispensing some good old American justice on McDougal.
Holy shit, damn it, Dutch!
Wait, did you just say, damn it, Dutch? That was Nestas who just got killed. I think you got a little confused with the script there, John. As with all Rockstar games, random spawning law enforcement. Apparently I was mistaken in thinking that Dutch is just crazy, not stupid, seeing as how he's returned to Blackwater, a place where he is still wanted and the Bureau is actively looking for him. And yet he still doesn't get caught.
You and your friend there, the professor, we're gonna kill the both of you.
Why you want to do a thing like that?
I don't know. Sport, I guess.
Translation: I needed a reason to get back into the plot since Bill and Javier are dead. And this is the best I could come up with.
We aren't thieves, John. We're fighting for something a bit like you. Only we're fighting for an idea. Not just for ourselves.
Not exactly the best way to convince John, seeing as how he spent an entire game believing that same bullshit where you ended up betraying him. Enemy randomly appears on the roof to take McDougal hostage, just so we can equip a sniper rifle to eliminate some natives, some of whom are on the roof of the Bureau building, which they would have had to enter to gain access to. And given the mentality of the government in this time period, I highly doubt they would have allowed that.
There's no civilizing this savage land.
I could have told you that for nothing.
Ah, but they'll give me a prize in New Haven for this.
And how do you expect to get that prize when your evidence is in your suitcase that you left in a hotel room back in Blackwater?
An informant just told us some interesting news. Our mutual friend, Mr. Vanderlyn, is about to pay call on his bank manager.
A bank manager would imply Dutch has money and signed legal documents, which begs the questions, why the hell is he still in Blackwater? And why wasn't the government able to trace him until now, especially when the bank is directly across from the Bureau building?
You see those horses to the left by the building across the street? Dutch's boys hitched them there. They'll have to run that way to make their escape.
You could have had some of your men hitch those horses away so that Dutch and his men would have no escape to begin with. But I see they never taught that course in your government training, so I won't persist.
I surrendered, John. You're the master now.
I've been my master since you left me to die.
Except for that little moment where Dutch spared your life by killing that snake Micah Bell. Plus, you can't really claim to be your own master when the government still basically has you by the balls. So, despite the entrance being the only way in or out of the building, Dutch manages to Houdini his way completely out of Blackwater within a matter of seconds.
Marston, you're a public menace. We should have had you killed.
Bum, 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 bum. Trained government agents actually get tricked by the dynamite in the road trap, which the natives somehow knew they'd be traveling through.
You never had the stomach for this.
Probably not the best thing to be saying to John after he's killed all your guys and a lot of people in Mexico and all the people when he was with you.
We can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing.
What a brilliant piece of storytelling this scene is. Dutch, in the moment of truth, finally realizes that his own madness led to his downfall, and that his way of life is over. Yet at the same time, he knew the dangers of civilization, and reminds us why he chose to live and die as an outlaw.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
Rockstar, congratulations on making one of the greatest villains in video game history. Villain falls to their death cliche. Oh, did you think that just because Dutch is now dead, John has redeemed himself and that he's reunited with his family, that you reach the end of the game? Welcome to the first of multiple hour-long epilogues of you experiencing John being a family man.
You no good hillbilly piece of shit! I thought you was dead!
Now why in the hell would you think that when you know that John has been working with the government to take down his former gang?
What's the book, boy?
Set out in the West, and it tells this amazing story of how people killed the savage Redskins, and how this man, this brave man, hunts the man who killed his father.
If I could roll my eyes any harder, they would fall directly out of their sockets. Say there, boy, you ready to round up some more damn horses because the game don't want to acknowledge the amount of money you've made and saved throughout? Well, it don't matter. You ain't gonna have a choice. Also, don't think I didn't notice you implementing that rule of three cliche. Okay, game, that might have been a little bit overkill on my part, but Is it so hard for you to cancel Deadeye once my target is dead?
What the hell were you thinking going off on your own?
I want to know how Jack is still alive. Did the bear just attack him and then leave? Did the bear chase him and then he fell down somewhere? The game kind of skips over that little detail.
You think I don't know what you did back in the old days? I'm not stupid.
You could have fooled me.
You think I didn't sit up and listen to Dutch and Bill telling all those stories?
And Arthur, and Hosea, and Charles, and Sadie, and Miss Grimshaw, and Pearson, and Tilly. It's strange how you omit all these people, Jack.
Down you come.
I just love how the game fails me for letting Uncle die, yet 30 seconds later, he ends up dying in a cutscene. It's like, nah, fool. Uncle will die when we say so. To hell with consistency.
Jack, darling, get on this horse. Get out of here. Go find a place to hide.
You're coming with us, Paul.
I'll catch up.
You see, John, it's actions like this that make your imminent death all the more irksome and somewhat preachy. Yes, I get it. An outlaw can't outrun his past, the Wild West will soon be tamed, and you did this to protect your family. But by the government killing you, and you alone, they end up creating a vengeful son and wife who are still loose ends they didn't tie up. Did they forget that Abigail and Jack were also members of Dutch's gang, thus also making them a liability? Or was it just the writers who forgot that? Contrary to what many of you may think, John's death was not something profound, nor was it tragic. It was stupid, gimmicky bullshit. Nothing like a stellar narrative that collapses into absurdity near the end. Plus 10 sins.
Hello, sir. You work with the government?
3-year difference from 16 to 19 and your voice still sounds the same? Nope, I don't buy it.
You killed my father.
Your father killed himself with the life he lived.
You killed it. I saw you.
Technically, you were quite a distance away when that happened. See how you had to go back to him after you took off?
Did you hear that? Jack, we have to go back for Pa.
All's well that ends well.
Hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have.
Yeah. Well, I guess they had it coming.
So, how do you feel?
It's kind of pointless to be asking that question when you clearly saw the gunshot wound and John was laid out in front of Fort Mercer, a place that is notoriously known around town for being occupied by Bill Williamson and his gang.
Most important thing for you right now is getting yourself into Dr. Johnson's office to purchase some medicine. The first one's on me.
Why? He's already paying off his debt to you by helping out with the ranch. Yet by doing this, you're only further sinking him into debt. I swear to you, I wasn't even touching the analog stick when this occurred.
Dutch always said you were an arrogant son of a bitch!
You were in the same gang together. You should already know this.
Anybody can make that shot.
And you think you're going to prove the tonic is fraudulent by standing at a shorter distance than the skull?
Come on, come on!
No, game. I refuse to accept failing a mission because you decided to glitch out on me.
And I got to thinking, Moses was a liar.
Why would you think that when you end up going to the location of the map anyway?
Bill, I implore you think about this.
You implore me? You always were one for fancy words.
You ran in the same gang together, thus you should have known Dutch was the one to teach John about reading comprehension. John even mentions this later on.
The leader of the gang taught me how to read, taught me how to see all that was good in the world.
Abram Reyes has been captured.
Where's he being held?
El Presidio.
See, here's the problem, Luisa. You know where Reyes is being held, yet you didn't immediately attempt to rescue him, despite professing your love for him and stating on multiple occasions that you're not afraid to die. Oh, and you somehow have friends waiting for you near the river when we actually get to El Presidio.
You want me to take out a gun and blow a fucking hole in your head right here? Right now?
What's stopping you? Dutch is able to do the same thing later on with a hostage and escape no problem. With far more security, I might add.
Oh, Mr. Marston, one more thing. This is for you.
Dude, I already own every other weapon in this game. Your pistol is going to be quite useless to me. In case you haven't noticed, I can fire my revolvers the same way I could with a semi-automatic pistol. Inability to choose your own drink.
You tend to your wounded. I gotta face Dutch alone.
Foolishness, John. Foolishness.